With the knowledge that Team Skull could be planning their biggest scheme yet, Ash, Celine, Lily, Hao, and Gladion are making some preparations before heading over to Aether Paradise. Ash and Hao have the task of getting everyone's Pokemon treated at the local Pokemon Center. On the other hand, while shopping for supplies, Celine can't resist getting a new outfit from a clothing shop. As Celine happily shows off her new clothes to Lily, Gladion can't help but mutter how it's odd that the girl who's made stopping Team Skull her lifetime goal can even think about fashion at a time like this. This infuriates Celine, and she begins berating Gladion. If she recalls correctly, he asked them for help. Who is he to say anything about how she prepares? Gladion says if he didn't tell her and she missed out on the chance to put a stop to Team Skull once and for all, she'd be the one nagging him, and he'd rather avoid that. Still, he expected her to be a bit more focused considering the situation. Before Celine can retort, Lily stands in between her brother and best friend, telling them to both relax. They aren't leaving until morning, so it's not like they're wasting time right now. Besides, she admits she doesn't think getting a new outfit would hurt. Gladion rolls his eyes, but Lily explains that it's not for fashion. Her current dress isn't efficient for another showdown with Team Skull, so she'll get something better suited to the current situation. But in the meantime, she asks the two of them to please get along. They'll need all the teamwork they can get for this mission. The rivals glare at each other as Lily walks off. Celine doesn't want to work with Gladion, but admits that they have no choice right now. As soon as the sun rises, the only thing that matters from that point onward is stopping Team Skull and putting an end to Guzma's reign. Later that night, Lily struggles to sleep and lays awake in bed, hugging her Pokédoll. Cleffy senses her distress and goes up to her. She can't help but be nervous to go back to Aether Paradise. She thinks back to the horrors of having to escape that place with Nebby, the fear over what may happen to them. She begins to tear up, but Cleffy hugs her. So Lily stops herself. No, she's not the same person she was back then. She's a real, experienced trainer now, and if the Aether Foundation is working with Team Skull, she will stop them, for the sake of those she loves the most. Lily thanks Cleffy for sitting with her and pushes her Pokédoll aside to give Cleffy a proper hug. But she's surprised when she hears a loud thump from the toy. Lily had noticed something odd about the doll since she got it back in Fula City. It was always rather heavy for a plush toy. She opens the toy from the back and rummages into it. She's then surprised when she feels something odd. In the midst of the fluffy stuffing, she pulls out a black rock. She doesn't think she's seen anything like it. Cleffy, on the other hand, is mesmerized by the item. She reaches out a delicate finger to touch the rock, and as soon as she does, she's enveloped in a bright light. Before Lily can even realize what happened, Cleffy evolves into a Clefable right before her eyes. But that can only mean... Lily says, as she finally realizes that the entire time, her Pokédoll held a moonstone. She hugs the now massive pink creature, happy over her evolution. This display of growth right before her eyes was just what Lily needed to further cement her confidence. She knows she can do this. She quickly heads to sleep, ready to head out to Aether Paradise in the morning. Bright and early the next morning, Ash, Celine, Lily, Hao, and Gladion are en route to Aether Island on their ride Pokemon. Celine is talking to herself, insisting that she will put a stop to Guzma if it's the last thing she does. Lily, meanwhile, is concerned about Lusamine. The Aether Foundation feeding her delusions was already bad enough, but now Team Skull is involved too. They need to put a stop to this. Gladion agrees, and soon, Aether Paradise is in their sights. They guide their Pokemon to land at the port of the island. Before entering, Gladion reminds everyone to stick together and remain vigilant. Celine angrily asks who put him in charge, but Hao reminds her that Gladion knows way more about this place than they do. It's best that he takes the lead. Celine huffs but agrees, following closely behind Gladion, just to make sure he doesn't try anything. After all, she still doesn't really trust him. When they approach the front, they're surprised to see Team Skull grunts and Aether Foundation workers alike patrolling the place. Well, the Aether Foundation workers are patrolling. Most of the Team Skull grunts are just lazily laying on the ground, with only a few slowly walking back and forth a few paces. Celine is annoyed but unsurprised by the sight. Gladion feels the same, stating that the Team Skull grunts likely aren't taking this job seriously in the slightest, and sneaking past them should be easy. They manage to avoid the eyes of their enemies and make it into the building. But this is where things go wrong, as they're immediately met by Faba, along with Dos and Zassi of the Ultra Recon Squad. Before they can even react to them, Faba uses his Hypno psychic powers to grab Lily's bag. Lily and the others try to hold on, but the psychic powers of Hypno are too great. The bag is yanked away and handed to Faba, but he isn't done there, as his Alakazam rips the Beast Ball from Gladion's belt. The ball holding his Cosmog is dropped into Lily's bag. The branch chief promptly gloats. His underlings had long informed him that the Ultra Beasts they were seeking were kept in Lily's bag. What a fool she was to not even bother trying to hide them. Moon and Nebby cry out in fear from within the bag. Lily panics and asks what he wants with her Pokemon. Faba laughs and says that President Lusamine and that scoundrel Guzma need these Pokemon for their special powers. They will help them achieve everything they've been working toward, taking full control of the Ultra Beasts. What on earth could they want with those dangerous monsters? Gladion demands. Though Faba remains quiet, only saying that they'll find out soon enough. This enrages Celine. Plumeria already caused enough trouble with that one buff beast. If Guzma got his hands on one, it would be a nightmare. Unlike Celine, Lily and Gladion don't overlook the mention of Lusamine. They know how she feels about the Ultra Beast and are concerned with what she could be up to. Regardless, they can't let Faba get Cosmog, Nebby, and Moon to Guzma, so the gang sends out all of their Pokemon for battle. Faba has no time for this though. Lusamine requested him to bring the small beast to her at once. Dos, Zassi, deal with those brats, he says before teleporting away with his Alakazam. So, you're all working together, are you? Gladion asks. Zassi confirms. She explains that Lusamine had promised to help them with their goals for a long time, so long as they worked under the Aether Foundation, helping her out with some special projects. Lily asks what their mother is promising them. Whatever it is, she highly doubts she will hold up her end of the bargain. Their mother only cares about her own desires and doesn't concern herself with what other people want. But Dulce tells them that they have no idea what they're talking about. Lusamine is going to help them save their home. Ash asks where their home even is, but Zassi demands they stop distracting them. She and Dulce send out 2 creatures from Beast Balls. Looking at their strange appearances, they have to be Ultra Beasts. The beasts, interestingly enough, start gracefully dancing around, creating small bursts of fire and electricity around them, almost as if they're putting on a show. Gladion and Lily recognize them as beasts their mother once told them about. Lightning, a mutant which can discharge 1,000,000 volts of power, and Burst, a one-of-a-kind creature which causes explosions and steals its foe's energy. Dulce and Zassi introduce the creatures with the new names they'd recently given them, Xurkitree and Blacephalon. Gladion is surprised to hear this, and the Ultra Recon Squad members explain that as they've been researching the Ultra Beasts and made more progress on understanding them, the Aether Foundation had been naming many of the ones they'd interact with. And now, they'll show off their power firsthand. Zassi commands Blacephalon to use a move called Mind Blown. The strange alien creature removes its own head, does a graceful spin, and tosses it at the group, causing a huge explosion. Dulce then follows up by having Xurkitree use Zap Cannon. The monochromatic creature forms 2 electricity sparking orbs in its hands before merging them into one and tossing it at its foes with amazing elegance. Ash has Pikachu intercept the move with Electro Web, and the resulting explosion pushes everyone back. The beasts jump back in beautiful pirouettes to avoid the damage. That said, this now alerts the Skull Grunts and the Aether Foundation workers that something is wrong, and the facility goes on lockdown. All nearby grunts are told by Dulce to head to Lucamine's room to protect her. They can handle these intruders for now. Xurkitree and Blacephalon leap forward to attack again, but Lily and Gladion command Silvally and Null to push back against them, and the Beast Killers send them flying with Crush Claw and Air Slash. But it's only for a second as they elegantly spin around and retaliate. A dazzling Shadow Ball is launched by Blacephalon, and a beautiful Thunder is fired by Xurkitree. Hal tries to have Komala hack away at the ghostly orb with Shadow Claw, but the beast's attack is so strong that it continues forward regardless. At the last second though, Ash's Hakamo'o leaps in front and intercepts the attack. Though the move is powerful, Hakamo'o's bulletproof ability allows her to withstand the force of the attack and disperse it. At the same time, Celine orders Spike to push back against Xurkitree's Thunder with Flamethrower, but he's struggling due to the beast's power. Sylvia then jumps in and uses her Lightning Rod ability to absorb the weakened Thunder and keep everyone safe. Dulce and Zacian are annoyed at how these kids' Pokemon can perfectly counter their beasts. They'll need to battle even harder. Lily panics. They don't have time for this. And who knows what Faba and their mother could be doing to Nebby and Moon. Gladion says that they need to get to their mom and fast. Ash and Hal look at each other and nod. Ash then tells Gladion, Lily, and Celine to go find Lucamine. They can handle this. Lily asks if they're sure, and Hal agrees. Gladion then sends out his Porygon Z and has the Pokemon teleport him, Lily, and Celine away. Zacian and Dulce are enraged by this, and Zacian yells that they need to stop those brats. Dulce agrees, but says they need to get rid of these pests first. They have no time to waste. Lucamine cannot be interrupted. They command their beasts to attack again, and the duo once again begin twirling around. A beautiful flame burst from Blacephalon is fired, along with a gorgeous-looking charge beam from Xurkitree. Ash's Torracat uses Fire Blast to counter Blacephalon, while Tiny goes in with Close Combat. And while Torracat is able to disrupt the flame burst, Tiny's fist phases right through Blacephalon and he slams onto the ground. He's then hit with a powerful Psyshock. Zacian laughs, and Ash is stunned, so that beast is a ghost type. Meanwhile, Hal's Decidueye tries to slice through the charge beam with Grass Pledge. But Blacephalon uses another Shadow Ball, knocking the ghostly bird back, causing him to take the full force of the ghost and electric attacks. The beasts giggle in glee, but it's only for a moment, as Hal's Vaporeon slams into Xurkitree using a surprise dig attack she'd used when the beasts were preoccupied. This moment of distraction allows Minior to hit Blacephalon with a Power Gem, knocking the beast down. Dulce and Zacian seethe and say they're done playing games. It's time to get serious. Meanwhile, Celine, Lily, and Gladion teleported behind Aether Paradise, directly in front of Lucamine's mansion. Unfortunately for them, the exterior of the building is surrounded by a horde of Aether and Team Skull grunts, not to mention the Aether Branch Chief, Wick. Lily is devastated to see her there, remembering how close she was to the woman in the past. Not you too, Wick. Wick sighs and apologizes to Lily and the others, but says these are the president's orders, and she won't defy her boss. She insists they leave, or they'll have no choice but to fight. Celine yells that they aren't going anywhere. If Team Skull is involved in this, then she will stop them. As such, the grunts order their massive group of Pokemon to attack. Fortunately though, these guys are no match for Lily, Celine, and Gladion's Pokemon. Sandy, Peach, and Zoroark can handle Team Skull's weak Pokemon just fine. The Aether Foundation grunts put up a bit of a better fight, but once again, Null and Silvally are more than strong enough to put them in their place. That said, the grunts seemingly have an infinite amount of Pokemon, and the battle rages on. Wanting to take control, Wick focuses on Celine and commands her Charjabug to use String Shot, wrapping Peach's arms and preventing her from using most of her moves. With this, the Aether Chief has her Bruxish use Aqua Jet. With no other options, Celine has Peach counter with Rapid Spin, and the two collide, then push each other back. The two slam into each other a few times, but Charjabug uses another String Shot, wrapping up even more of Peach's upper body, preventing her from moving her Calyx and using Rapid Spin. Peach is in a pickle, so Wick commands Bruxish to use Psychic Fangs. Celine begs her Pokemon to break free, and the Steenie, with no other options, uses her legs to land a powerful kick, pushing the fish back and sending it airborne. Before Celine can acknowledge her Pokemon's amazing feat, Peach begins to glow. Everyone's eyes meet the living fruit as she grows to a much larger size and breaks free from the string shot. The now elegant Serena stands before everyone, with Celine delighted over the Pokemon's evolution. She commands Peach to use Solar Beam, and the Pokemon fires the massive beam of energy at both Bruxish and Charjabug, knocking them both out. At the same time, Sandy and Zoroark finish off the final grunt Pokemon with a combination of Night Daze and Icicle Crash. With everyone defeated, Gladion then demands they get out of their way, but they refuse. They won't let Lusamine be interrupted when she's so close to accomplishing her goals. The Skull Grunts also call Gladion a traitor, saying he should be helping them. Guzma is on Lusamine's side, so why isn't Gladion? Especially if that's his mom. Gladion says he knows that both Lusamine and Guzma are selfish, and only care about what they want, even if it comes at the cost of others, and that's not something he agrees with. Still, Wick asks Lily and Gladion to understand. Their mother simply wants to tame the Ultra Beasts so they can eventually coexist with the Pokemon of their world. What's so wrong about that? What's wrong is that she's working with Team Skull, Celine yells. Gladion adds that their mom is not fit to tame those beasts. They're dangerous, and Lusamine is too infatuated by them to understand how much damage they cause. He orders them to move once more, or he'll have Null make them move. But once again, the Grunts and Wick refuse. Gladion can't hide his frustration and prepares a final attack. But before he can even command his Pokemon, Lily quickly sends out Cleffi and has her use Sing. In an instant, the Grunts are all put to sleep by the alluring lullaby. The massive pink puffball then uses Psychic, lifting Wick and the Grunts up and placing them safely away from the mansion. We need to keep our cool, Gladion. We're not here to hurt anyone, just to save Mom and stop Team Skull's plans. Gladion apologizes for being so reckless and says he'll follow her lead moving forward. With this, Celine, Lily, and Gladion burst through the doors and rush to Lusamine's room. Meanwhile, Ash and Hau are still facing Zacian, Dulce, and the Ultra Beasts. Thanks to the Beasts being more focused on their performances than actually battling, Ash and Hau have managed to get the upper hand. Dulce and Zacian are frustrated, ordering their beasts to focus. But the creatures pay them little mind, only launching attacks when commanded, but doing little more to respect the wishes of the Ultra Recon Squad members. This is exactly why President Lusamine needs to fulfill her mission, Dulce says angrily. The sooner she actually tames these beasts, the easier it'll be to save our home. Another Mind Blown and Zap Cannon are used, and despite attempts to push the moves back, the attacks still land, dealing major damage to most of Ash and Hau's Pokemon. The Beast performers give a bow and curtsy, proud of their beautiful display of power. Ash and Hau agree that they need to put a stop to this. One more attack like that and they're done for. Rotom Dex reminds them that, in the past, only one level of power has been able to stop the Ultra Beasts. Hau already knows what needs to happen. They need to use their Z moves. But this is where Dulce and Zacian smirk, revealing their own Z-Rings. Hau remembers the other Ultra Recon Squad member, Soliera, also having a Z-Ring, but she'd never seen an Ultra Beast use such a powerful attack. Ash and Hau become terrified, knowing that a Z move from those monsters would be detrimental. But it seems Dulce and Zacian are less in sync with the beast than they thought. Though they perfectly execute the poses for their respective Z moves, Blacephalon and Xurkitree seem confused. Instead of posing with their trainers, they continue dancing around and creating a flashy show with their moves. Zacian yells at the air-headed monsters to pay attention, but they're clearly more interested in continuing their show than anything. Seems using Z moves doesn't come naturally for all creatures. Or maybe it's just these two. With this, Ash and Hau now have an opening. Ash tells his friend that they need to attack now. The Malasada loving boy wastes no time and calls for Crystal to get ready. The Alolan Marowak glares at the beast in front of her. She knows she has to make this attack count. Meanwhile, Ash calls upon Lycanroc. The orange wolf growls angrily, her eyes burning red. She's ready to use her full power. Lycanroc and Crystal pose alongside their trainers, and the commands are ordered. With Ash now being aware of Blacephalon's ghost typing, he has Lycanroc use Black Hole Eclipse. Meanwhile, Crystal uses Tectonic Rage. Dulce and Zacian panic, knowing that the only way to fight back is with their own Z moves. They demand that their beasts attack. They use their Z rings to fire the Z energy at the Ultra Beasts, enveloping them with the powerful aura. The beasts do then fire off their own moves, but it seems they just can't help but make everything into a performance. Xurkitree's Gigavolt Havoc and Blacephalon's Inferno Overdrive collide and burst into a flurry of electrified fireworks, and while the fluttering, flaming jolts do slightly harm Ash and House Pokemon, the moves are nowhere near as strong as they would have been if they had been used properly. This isn't the case for Ash and House Pokemon, and Blacephalon is absorbed upward into the Black Hole Eclipse, taking massive damage from the super effective move. Xurkitree, on the other hand, is yanked downward under the floor, and is met by Crystal, slamming her bone into its face, dealing a major hit with the ground-type Z move. The beasts are then blasted away and crash into each other. Defeated. Dulce and Zacian are enraged by this, but Ash and Hau demand they explain themselves now. Where are they from? What is Team Skull's role here? And what is Lusamine planning exactly? Lusamine stands in her room with Faba, Plumeria, Soliera, and Fico. The woman stares intently at a box. Inside the box, both Cosmog are trapped, and they're being zapped with a strange energy. Beside it is Moon, who is trapped within a cage. He is angrily screaming, demanding to be freed, but ignored by everyone in the room. Soon I'll finally be able to be with my precious beasts. Plumeria asks how long this is supposed to take, but Faba snaps at her and demands she not interrupt the process. Plumeria asks what's the big deal with this plan anyway? Isn't this what they've been doing the whole time? Using this mini-beast's powers to open ultra wormholes? What's so different now? Lusamine glares at the pink-haired woman. She explains that all of the ultra wormholes that had opened up until now were only able to be opened from the limited energy she once gathered from the two Cosmog in the past. While it was enough to open some small wormholes to summon Ultra Beast to Alola temporarily, it was never enough energy to do what she really wanted. She needed all of the Pokemon's power to open a stronger Ultra Wormhole. Unfortunately, since her devious son and daughter stole the creatures a while back, she was never able to take advantage of both Pokemon's full power. But now, those limits are over. She has both Pokemon in the palm of her hands, and the energy draining process is going well. Nothing can stop her now. Wanna bet? Lusamine is enraged, hearing an unwanted voice in her room. She turns around to see Gladion, along with Lily and Celine. She asks how on earth they got in here. Wick and those grunts should have been keeping guard. Ugh, so useless. Plumeria steps forward. She's been bored of all this waiting around, but a battle is more up her alley. Faba is also ready to defend his boss, but Lusamine tells him no, they don't have time for this. She's so close to achieving her dream. She will not let her wretched children get in the way. She demands that Faba teleport them to the altar. At the same time, she orders Plumeria, Fico, and Soliera to handle those kids. At this, Faba is concerned. The altar is quite a ways away, and having his Pokemon teleport them such a distance might be a bit more than they can handle. But Lusamine glares at him in a rage. Does he dare to defy her? She is this close to getting what she's wanted for years, and he has the nerve to question her just because his Pokemon might get tired? She demands he get it together now. Fico tries to stop her, saying Faba has a point. They don't want to risk anything that could mess up this mission. After all, this is about saving their home. But Lusamine yells at the man and says she doesn't care about saving his world. This is all about her beasts, and nothing more. What happens to their homeland is of no concern to her. She then repeats her order to Faba, telling him to get moving, Every second they remain is halting her from getting to see her beautiful beasts, and she will have no mercy on anyone who stands in her way. Lusamine grabs the glowing box, where Lily can hear Nebby shrieking. Lily cries out, saying that whatever she's doing is hurting Nebby. "Quiet," Lusamine demands, and she glares at Faba. Fearfully, Faba nods, and has his Alakazam teleport them away. Figo and Soliera are stunned, but barely have time to register what they've been told. Perhaps Lusamine is just antsy right now. Yes, that's it. She won't go back on her word. She knows how important this is. So with their orders given, Plumeria sends out her Salazzle, Fico sends out a Snorlax, and Soliera brings out a Mimikyu. Celine yells at Plumeria, demanding to know where Guzma is. But she says the boss's whereabouts are none of her business. She then orders her Salazzle to use Flamethrower. The attack is launched to full power, but Celine has Ariel push the attack back with Water Pledge. The little Brion tries to fight back, but despite the type advantage, Plumeria's Pokemon is extremely strong. Spike then leaps forward to block the move with his body. As a Fire and Dragon type, the move is nothing more than a minor inconvenience. He manages to disperse the move, then swing a Dragon Tail at the lizard, knocking it in front of Plumeria. Soliera scolds Plumeria for her recklessness. She then addresses the Skull Admin and her leader and says they can't afford to waste time with frivolous skirmishes. They need to take this seriously and defeat these kids at once. Fico agrees, and both pull out Z crystals to place onto their Z rings. Plumeria is annoyed but does the same. Figo has his Snorlax use Pulverizing Pancake, and Soliera orders a Let's Snuggle Together from her Mimikyu. The kids are confused, having never heard of these moves, with Fico revealing that they are Z moves unique to only Snorlax and Mimikyu. Plumeria angrily says that they will not overshadow her, and though it's not a unique attack, she uses her own Z move with Salazzle, Acid Downpour. The Pokemon execute their powerful attacks, terrifying the trio of kids. Celine, Lily, and Gladion only have one chance to make this count. Snorlax is surrounded by a powerful aura and leaps into the air, then dives down to land its powerful attack. Likewise, Mimikyu opens up its ghostly rag and lunges forward. Gladion quickly thinks of a plan and tells Lily to have Cleffy use Follow Me. Then, Celine must have Spike use Shell Trap and Sylvia use Spiky Shield. The girls are confused by this but have no time for questions. They do as he asks. The boys' plans are then revealed. As Snorlax's attack is directed toward the Clefable, Gladion then has his Porygon Z use Ally Switch. The bird creature glows brightly before grabbing Cleffy and swapping her position with Spike. No one even has time to react, as Snorlax lands powerfully on the Turtonator's back. This immediately triggers Shell Trap, causing a huge explosion. Both Pokemon are sent flying back, with each side taking a huge hit. Porygon Z then swaps the positions of Cleffy and Sylvia. The Mimikyu lands on the Togedemaru and begins pummeling her, but Spiky's shield partially protects her from the attack, and winds up causing Mimikyu to damage itself. While this strategy did lessen the power of those two Z moves, unfortunately, there's nothing that they can do to block the Acid Downpour, as poison rains down on everyone. Most of Gladion, Lily, and Celine's Pokemon wail in pain, but the attack isn't over, as Salazzle then fires a huge wave of poison at the group. Sylvia and Sandy try to disrupt the waves with their moves, but the Steel types simply don't have a way to fully stop the attack. This is when Moon, from within his small cage, becomes infuriated. With all of his might, the small Poipole bursts from the tiny prison walls he was encased in, and leaps in front of the wave. He uses a poison-type attack of his own, Sludge Wave, and works to push the Z move back. Plumeria becomes annoyed at the tiny beast and orders Salazzle to get that thing out of here. Slowly, the lizard starts to overpower Moon, but Lily calls out to him and begs him to pull through. She knows he can do this. Moon fights back with all of his might, putting more power into his move. As he slowly gets pushed back, he can hear the cries of his teammates, who are still being doused by the toxic rain. Moon has to save them. He can't let this Z move harm them. Suddenly, in his desperation to keep his friends safe, he fires off a colorful beam of energy, a Dragon Pulse, onto his Sludge Wave. The draconic energy powers up his attack, causing a massive wave of powerful energy to overpower the Z move and create a huge explosion. Fico, Soliera, and Plumeria are all shocked by the small Ultra Beast's power, having never seen anything like this from it previously. Moon then lets out a loud growl before he suddenly begins glowing. In an instant, the creature changes form, evolving into something none of them have ever seen before. This surprises Lily and her friends, who never even imagined Moon as a creature who could evolve, especially after learning that he was an Ultra Beast. But Fico and Soliera are all too familiar with this beast. Naganadal, Soliera says. Plumeria ignores the weirdos, but expresses her annoyance over the situation. She's so done with these freaky beast Pokemon creatures. She orders for Salazzle to attack the beast with Flamethrower. Fico tries to stop her, but it's too late. The move hits, but barely seems to make a dent into the much larger creature. You fool! The beast is now part dragon type. Fire type moves won't do as much. And how was I supposed to know that? While everyone is distracted, they're soon caught off guard as a massive electric attack is used, hitting Salazzle, Mimikyu, and Snorlax, who all take big damage. Everyone looks to see Ash and Hau have now arrived, with Pikachu and Raichu at their sides. Plumeria has just about had it, and orders her Pokemon to attack everyone with a sludge wave of her own. Fico then commands his Snorlax to attack as well, with a Giga Impact. Mimikyu was able to avoid damage from the Thunderbolt thanks to her ability, but is now enraged and ready to join in on the attack. Soliera orders a Shadow Ball barrage, but now, with more people on their side, Lily and the others are ready to fight back. Raichu fires off a Psyshock at Salazzle, dealing major damage. A follow-up Electro Web from Pikachu finishes her off. Sylvia and Sandy use a dual Gyro Ball to slam into Mimikyu, knocking the small Pokemon away. It charges back in with Wood Hammer, but a final Zing Zap from Sylvia finishes it. Finally, Porygon Z unleashes a massive Hyper Beam to intercept Snorlax. The collision of the two attacks causes a huge explosion. Porygon Z is actually knocked out by the massive blast, surprising Gladion. But with Snorlax now unable to attack again, it's wide open to another attack. Moon does the honors and hits a Dragon Pulse to finish off the Snorlax, now leaving the three without any Pokemon to battle with. To say Plumeria is furious would be an understatement. She blames the Ultra Recon weirdos for not having any Pokemon aside from the ones given to them by Lusamine and Guzma. They're so worthless. This is where Celine steps up, demanding answers from all of them. Where is Guzma? Lily likewise demands to know where their mother went. Initially, they all refuse to talk, but Doz and Zazie soon make it to the room, saying it's pointless. They already told the other two kids most of what was going on. They may as well explain everything. Fico actually agrees, especially after Lusamine's recent actions before she and Faba teleported away. He's concerned that Lusamine is at the very least approaching things in a dangerous way. They should give some backstory. Plumeria doesn't want to deal with this. She needs to get to the boss. But a sharp look and growl from Null and Silvally stop her in her tracks. Having no Pokemon being able to battle, she has no choice but to stick around, telling the kids, "Geez, cool it." The Ultra Recon Squad members explain that they come from a place called Ultra Megalopolis in Ultra Space. It's like a city, which surprises the others. They had no idea that cities or humans existed in Ultra Space. They then explain how they've lived in peace for a while, but recently a creature called the Blinding One began causing trouble for their world. It drained all of the light from Ultra Megalopolis. Obviously, this was a huge issue, so the Ultra Recon Squad ventured out to Alola for help. Due to the Blinding One disrupting their world, Ultra wormholes began opening, allowing beings from Ultra Space to travel to Alola. So the group of four decided to take their chance and go through an Ultra wormhole one day to seek assistance. They landed at Aether Paradise. Lusamine had opened that wormhole, and they distinctly remember her rage at seeing something other than an Ultra Beast come from the portal. They explained their situation to her and what they saw as an eagerness to help, now seemed like nothing more than a desire to use their knowledge of Ultra Space for her own goals. Lusamine told them everything they wanted to hear. She would help them save Ultra Megalopolis and restore the light stole by the Blinding One. All they had to do was work with her. Alas, they did everything she wanted. They helped with her research, helped her open Ultra Wormholes, monitored the Poipole at her orders, literally everything. But it seems like it was all ever to help her get what she wanted in the end. While the kids are curious about the Blinding One, they have greater priorities at the moment. Lily and Gladion ask what their mom is trying to do. Saucy says that, as far as she knows, she wants to use the power of the Cosmog to open an Ultra Wormhole more massive than ever seen before, enough to rain Ultra Beasts all across Alola. She wants to capture them all and create an army, an empire, of Ultra Beasts. House says that the region will be doomed if that happens. They need to stop this. Celine then asks, hold on, how does Team Skull fit in all this? All eyes are now on Plumeria, who insists that she has no idea. Guzma just told them that they'd start answering to that crazy lady and doing what she wanted a while ago, but she has no clue why. Celine then asks if the Team Skull Enforcer has any ideas, but Gladion is just as puzzled. He notes that Guzma never showed much interest in anything aside from disrupting the island challenge. Then it hits him. Maybe Guzma plans on using the destruction from the Ultra Beasts to get rid of the island challenge. Knowing how powerful the Ultra Beasts are, this is a definite possibility. They have to act now. For the future of Alola, Lusamine and Guzma have to be stopped. Naturally, Ash asks where Lusamine went. Solier explains that the last part of Lusamine's plan was to awaken the full power of the Cosmog. Only through their power can Ultra Wormholes be opened. Through their research, they learned that this creature can reach its maximum potential after being taken to a special location in Alola, Pony Altar, otherwise known as the Altar of the Sun and Moon. Lusamine and Faba stand at the Pony Altar. Lusamine is highly irritated, wondering, where is he? He should have been here ages ago. Faba, while tending to his exhausted Alakazam, assures Miss Lusamine not to worry. He's sure that bumbling buffoon will arrive soon. He wrote the instructions to be so simple that even he and his cronies could follow along. Besides, at least the first part of their plan worked. They successfully forced the Cosmog evolution. Lusamine looks at the container on the ground, now having two very different Pokemon than were placed inside. Nebby and Gladion's Cosmog indeed evolved, but nearly all of their energy has been completely drained. The Pokemon can do nothing other than float around in a sleep-like state. While this is one positive, Lusamine yells that they can't afford to be late on this. If they miss their perfect chance because of his stupidity, she'll make sure he regrets it. Is that any way to talk about the guy doing all the work around here? A voice calls. Lusamine and Faba turn to see the man they were looking for. Guzma approaches with a bag in hand. Lusamine's entire demeanor shifts in a second, and she smiles. But Faba scolds the man for being late, asking what took him so long. Guzma angrily argues that he had to go all the way to an island to get this stuff, with no teleporting Pokemon to help him out. They could at least be more appreciative. Lusamine thanks the man as she grabs the bag from his hands. She then removes the contents of the bag and smiles once more. Excellent work, Guzma, she says, holding two flutes, one silver and one golden. And this is perfect timing. Faba, grab the Cosmoem. Guzma, take one of these and get into position. The two line themselves at opposite points of the altar, each with a flute in hand. Faba places the Cosmoem at the center of the altar as he looks at the sky. The sun has started to set, and dusk is on the horizon. Miss Lusamine, now is the time. We're exactly in between morning and night. Play the flutes now, and these beasts should react accordingly. Lusamine and Guzma waste no time playing the sound of the flutes. Both of the Cosmoem begin to levitate into the air upon hearing the familiar sounds of the flutes. In an instant, both begin glowing. Nebby is coated in a golden aura, while Gladion's Cosmoem shines bright blue. Lusamine grins as she plays the flute, already thrilled to see she is steps away from achieving her dream. But no sooner than they begin are they met with a fork in their plans. Celine and the others land at the edge of the altar thanks to their ride Pokemon. Lily demands they stop, directing her attention to her mom. This is too dangerous, not only for Nebby, but also for everyone. At the same time, Celine confronts Guzma, asking if he's only doing this because he wants to use Ultra Beasts to ruin the island challenge. Because if so, this will do more than disrupt the challenge. This will affect the entire region. Is he so selfish that he'll sacrifice Alola just to get his revenge on the island challenge? Guzma smirks and confirms. Sounds great to me. Serves them right for daring to deny the great Guzma the right to become a trial captain. If only they would have just respected me as the strongest trainer in the region, maybe I'd have spared those weaklings. No matter, they're all done for now, and good riddance. Celine is infuriated hearing this and runs toward Guzma, desperate to stop his actions. Faba attempts to stop her, but his Pokemon are too tired to do much other than fire off a weak Psybeam that is blocked by Gladion's Zoroark. Celine inches closer to where Guzma stands, but suddenly, Nebby and Cosmoem burst into a massive bright light. The force of this explosion creates a shockwave that covers the entire area. As everyone works to maintain their footing, Celine is tossed aside as she was in motion at the time. Thankfully, Gladion, who had been trailing behind her, quickly calls out to Null, who is able to grab Celine and keep her safe from the blast. Gladion stands beside her and asks if she's okay. Celine is in silent shock that Gladion came to her rescue. She quietly mutters a thanks as the shockwaves begin to peter out. This allows the rivals to refocus on the scene in front of them, and they're both stunned at what they're seeing. Beams of light emit from Nebby and Cosmoem, and both begin to morph. Everyone recognizes the surrounding glow as the light of evolution. Rotom Dex flies up to get a good shot, and he's able to perfectly capture the moment where Nebby and Cosmoem transform into their ultimate forms. These Pokemon are unlike any Ash has ever seen before, but the Alola natives are quite familiar with the creatures in front of them. Solgaleo and Lunala? Hal exclaims. Nebby and the other Cosmog were the emissaries of the Sun and Moon the entire time? Of course they were, Faba yells, annoyed at the children's ignorance. But before he can even say more, another massive light forms directly behind Nebby and Lunala. This is what Lusamine has been waiting for. Upon these Pokemon reaching their final forms, the energy from their evolution has opened a massive ultra wormhole very close in the vicinity, larger than any of them have ever seen before. But even scarier, everyone starts to see ultra wormholes opening and closing in the sky at a rapid pace. Lusamine is full of glee, laughing in delight, knowing that more of her precious beasts will be entering Alola soon. However, her attention is drawn to the massive wormhole directly behind the legendary Pokemon. It's now or never. Lusamine rushes toward the wormhole at full speed. Ash, Hau, Celine, Gladion, Lily, and even Faba are stunned seeing this. Lily freaks out and demands her mother stop. She sends out Silvally, climbs onto its back, and begins chasing after her. But Guzma sends out his Ariados, and the Pokemon fires poisonous threads at Lily to halt her. Lily does not have time to fight back, and thankfully, she doesn't have to. A huge burst of wind from afar blasts Ariados away. Celine rushes over with Meadow, and the Oricorio uses a strong hurricane to distract Guzma. Lily, you and Gladion need to go after your mom. Let me handle this guy. Lily doesn't want to abandon the others, but Celine insists. They can't let her mom get lost in that ultra wormhole. They need to go now. Lily nods and rushes off, while Gladion hesitates. He tells Celine to be careful, glaring at his former boss. Even he has never seen Guzma be defeated in battle. Celine insists that she'll be fine and tells Gladion that he needs to hurry, and he better keep her best friend safe. For the first time ever, Celine smiles at the boy, and the two reach an understanding. Gladion gives a small smile back and quickly tosses something to Celine before running off after her sister. Lusamine is mere steps away from the ultra wormhole when she hears the calls of her children, begging her to stop. But she ignores them and rushes directly into the portal, shocking everyone. Lily and Gladion's type Null stop, mere steps away from the wormhole, with their trainers terrified of what could happen if they go through. But Lily panics, saying they can't just sit here. Their mom could get hurt or lost in ultra space. As the girl begins to tear up, Nebby leans down and nuzzles into her. Lily looks up in surprise. In the rush of everything going on, she hadn't even asked if her dear Nebby was okay. He shakes himself off and nods, merely jostled over the recent events. But he directs Lily's attention to the portal. After a few moments, she realizes what he's saying. You want us to go in? Nebby nods, and Lunala also leans down next to Gladion, beckoning him to climb onto her back. Of course, you guys are from Ultra Space, right? If anyone can help us get through there safely, it should be you. Lunala nods, as does her peer. The siblings look to each other and nod, recalling all of their Pokemon, before climbing onto the legendary Pokemon. Nebby and Lunala roar loudly before taking flight and diving headfirst into the Ultra Wormhole, mere seconds before it closes. During this time, Ash and Hao rush over to confront Faba, demanding to know what is going on. How do they stop these wormholes from opening? Faba, who actually looks rather confused, tells them that there is nothing they can do. Just like they planned, wormholes are opening all across Alola, and as they speak, Ultra Beasts are probably covering every inch of the region. But Miss Lucamine, since when was going into the wormhole part of your plan? As Faba mutters to himself, wondering what's truly going on, Rotomdex gets a call. Surprisingly, it's FICO of the Ultra Recon Squad telling the kids that there is a big problem. The man explains that Ultra Beasts are rampaging all across Alola. Ash recaps the current events at the altar, concluding his statement right as Lily and Gladion dive headfirst into the Ultra Wormhole on the backs of Nebby and Lunala. Rotomdex thankfully manages to snap a picture before they disappear into the portal. This stuns FICO, as it's been years since anything outside of a beast had willingly gone through an Ultra Wormhole. Zossie pops in and says that they will be splitting up to try to calm down the situation, but that they will surely need help. They were able to snag some Pokemon from the Team Skull and Aether Grunts, so they'll be going to Pony and Akala since they're relatively close by, and they know the area better. She recommends their crew head to Ula Ula and Mele Mele quickly. She's currently sending the updated data on all of the Ultra Beasts they've researched to this Pokédex so that they can have a better plan of action to face them. The call ends soon after, leaving Ash and Hao struggling to decide their next actions. But Celine calls out to them, telling them to go. She and Guzma have a score to settle. Guzma smirks and says that's fine with him. Reluctantly, Ash and Hao call upon their ride Pokemon and make their way off to stop the raging Ultra Beasts. And now, Celine and Guzma stand mere feet apart, very similar to their first encounter. Guzma laughs, saying he'll be happy to shut this girlie down once and for all. Faba then approaches the two, saying that his Pokemon may be tired, but they should be able to easily take down this annoying brat's Pokemon, especially with Guzma's brute strength. Then, they can stop the others from disrupting President Lucamine's plan. And speaking of the president, did Guzma know about... However, the man cuts him off. The Team Skull boss yells that he doesn't need Faba's help. He's been eager to wipe the floor with Celine's Pokemon for a while now, and he will not be interrupted. So Faba can either sit down and take notes, or he can be Ariados's warm-up before he tears down Celine. Faba sheepishly steps back, figuring that it doesn't matter how this kid gets defeated, so long as she can't interfere with the president's orders, he's fine. As such, the battle begins. Meadow and Ariados get into an intense battle immediately, very similar to the one they had when their trainers first encountered each other. Ariados fires a toxic thread, but Meadow elegantly dodges and hits Revelation Dance. Ariados takes a bit of damage but is otherwise fine. It then lunges with Cross Poison, landing a quick and painful hit onto the purple bird. But she recovers and gets back into action. Celine commands Meadow to prepare their secret weapon, and the Oricorio gets into an attack stance. So Guzma calls for Sucker Punch. As expected, the same technique that destroyed Celine in their first battle. Guzma laughs, saying this kid never learns. But this is what Celine wanted. As Ariados gets in close, Celine quickly has Meadow change to a different attack. Teeter Dance. Ariados is thrown off, as it was prepared to counter a direct attack, but it's halted, seeing switch to a different move. As such, it has nothing to block the move, and confusion quickly sets in. Guzma is stunned by this, but he barely has time to do anything, as Celine has Meadow strike with acrobatics. Guzma commands his Pokemon to dodge, but the spider is helpless in his confusion. Meadow lands her attack with no pushback, taking Ariados down, and giving Celine the first victory of the battle this time around, surprising Guzma and Faba. This is where the Skull Leader gets angry. Meanwhile, Lily and Gladion have made it into Ultra Space. Nebby and Lunala land them in the middle of what looks to be an empty void. There is almost nothing in sight. But Lunala directs their attention upward, and floating almost lifelessly in the sky are a bunch of Ultra Beasts. The siblings instantly recognize them as Nihilego, the Pokemon Lusamine had been most obsessed with for years. Thankfully, the beasts don't attack them. They seem harmless, and while that is reassuring, this does nothing to help them gauge where their mother is. But thankfully, it seems their question might be answered. They notice that all of the Nihilego are flying toward a very particular location, north. Maybe their mother landed over there. Lily and Gladion waste no time and follow the beasts with Nebby and Lunala. Eventually, they reach a massive, toxic-looking lake. And on the other side of said lake, they see her. Lusamine is surrounded by Nihilego. She's laughing maniacally as they all nuzzle up to her. Lily calls out to her mom, but she seems to not even hear her, utterly entranced by the beasts. As such, the duo have no choice but to move in closer. With Lunala able to fly, and Nebby a steel type, they can avoid the poisonous pool no problem. But as they get closer to her, this is when Lusamine finally sees them, and she's furious seeing those wretched brats in this world. Her world, for her and her beasts. In a rage, she demands they leave, but they refuse, begging her to come with them. She responds to this request with a fury they'd previously never seen. She says she's had enough of them, and she will rid them from her life at once. She tells the Nihilego, her new children, to assist. Suddenly, the woman is surrounded by numerous Ultra Beasts. Lily and Gladion are shocked, as right before their eyes, their mother seems to morph with the beasts. Even the legendary Pokemon are stunned and stop in their tracks, as Lusamine fuses together with a different colored Nihilego. Her bright blonde hair becomes blackened, and the once golden Nihilego matches her in color. The siblings are horrified to see their mother, now a shadow of her former self. The toxic lake then begins to harden into solid rock, as Lusamine floats over to make her place at the edge. The woman proceeds to pull out 5 Ultra Balls and a Beast Ball, indicating that she is ready for a battle. "I will not let you brats ruin my world with my beasts. I will put an end to you myself if I must," she says as she tosses the Pokeballs. Their mother's distorted voice haunts Lily and Gladion. No, this is not their mom. This woman has been poisoned by her obsession with these beasts and needs to be saved now. In front of the siblings stand a Lilligant, Mismagius, Lopunny, Milotic, Absol, and the most terrifying of all, an Ultra Beast. "That's UB Beauty, isn't it?" Lily asks, and Gladion confirms. "It's called Pheromosa now," Lusamine exclaims with delight, and she says she's happy she'll be able to witness it, giving a pummeling to these two in person. Lily and Gladion have no other options. They send out all of their Pokemon and get into action. In the midst of this situation, Ash has made it back to Mele Mele, where he was able to meet up with Hala, who is up against a powerful Ultra Beast. Rotom Dex recognizes the creature as the one Celine and Lily faced at Po Town. Thanks to Zaci's message, he knows that the Aether Foundation has named this beast Buzzwole. Ash, Hala, and their Pokemon face down Buzzwole, though things are a struggle, mainly due to the creature's power. But as if on cue, the island guardian Tapu Koko appears. It looks like he's ready to defend his island. Ash thanks Tapu Koko for coming to their rescue. The Pokemon glares at Ash and gives him a nod before they all get into battle. Hao, meanwhile, is on Ula Ula Island and has joined Nanu in battling the beast they now know as Guzzlord. Hao remembers when Lily and Celine told them about battling Guzzlord at the Ruins of Abundance, so he knows how strong it is. He and Nanu hold nothing back and battle at full force with all of their Pokemon. They battle diligently, but the beast is exceedingly strong. However, a grassy terrain soon sweeps through the area, healing Hao and Nanu's Pokemon. They barely have time to register when Tapu Bulu rushes forward and slams into Guzzlord with a massive Horn Leech. The normally lazy Guardian remembers this beast from the last time and is ready to take it down once more. So Hao and Nanu join in, with Hao now sending out his Decidueye to enter the battle. Oh yeah, Hapu mentioned that Pokemon had evolved. In that case... Nanu grabs a small item from his pocket and tosses it to Hao. A Z Crystal? I've never seen this one before. Got it from Acerola. It's Deciduum Z. A Z Crystal that can only be used with a Decidueye. It might come in handy. Hao nods, and as Nanu sends out his Persian, the Ultra Beasts begin their attack. Dulce and Zacian also manage to battle side by side with Kahuna Olivia and Tapu Lele, while Soliera and Fico manage to work with Kahuna Hapu and Tapu Fini. Zacian informs Olivia that the beast they're facing is called Kartana. The beast may be small, but is very strong, and even Olivia's Lycanroc takes several hard hits from it. Tapu Lele uses her psychic powers to keep the beast at bay, so Lycanroc can land a counter hit. Meanwhile, Soliera explains to Hapu that their foe is Celesteela, and Hapu informs them that she faced this creature at the Ruins of Hope once before with Lily and Celine's assistance. Though it didn't have a name then, she thankfully knows what to expect. So when Celesteela launches a flash cannon, Tapu Fini can counter with her powerful Hydro Pump, and Hapu's Mudsdale fights back with a Rock Slide. These beasts may be strong, but the Kahunas and Island Guardians make sure to use their full strength to defend their islands. Back to Celine, Guzma has sent out his Pinsir. While a strong Hurricane from Meadow deals a big hit, a retaliatory Stone Edge leaves her on the verge of fainting, so Celine recalls her for honey. Guzma laughs upon seeing the Rabombi, calling it a pathetic bug type even he wouldn't bother training. This has the tiny bee fuming, but Celine tells her not to pay the man any mind. She has the Pokemon use Quiver Dance, while Guzma orders X-Scissor. Pinsir rushes forward with the move, but Honey is so small that she can effortlessly avoid the move with better speed thanks to Quiver Dance. Celine calls for the same move, and Guzma is annoyed by the lack of direct battling. He orders Brutal Swing. Another Quiver Dance is used, but this time, Pinsir is able to land his attack. Guzma orders Stone Edge. Honey is quick enough to dodge, but this distraction allows Pinsir to get up close and land a hard X-Scissor. Guzma plans to finish things off with Guillotine, but Honey waits until Pinsir gets in close to use a massive Pollen Puff. The move's power is so great thanks to the Quiver Dance that it causes a massive explosion. Pinsir is flung backward and lands at Guzma's feet, unconscious. Guzma is speechless, seeing his Pokemon fall so easily. That's 2 down on your side and none on her side. Faba mutters. Guzma turns to the man in a rage and demands he stay quiet or else. Furiously, he sends out his Masquerain. The bugs then get into an aerial battle, each using their speed and powerful move to their advantage. Honey uses a massive Dazzling Gleam, dealing major damage to Masquerain, but she hangs on and counters with an Ice Beam. Honey tries to avoid the hit, but the attack clips her wing, leaving it partially frozen. This brief opening is all Guzma needs to order a quick Air Slash, ending Honey's run in this battle. Guzma snickers, saying he's done playing games, and Celine better not think about underestimating him. But to his surprise, the girl smiles, saying she feels the same way. Sylvia is the next Pokemon to enter the battle. The small Spike Ball is just as energetic as usual. Guzma sees the Togedemaru as no threat. After all, he easily defeated it last time. He has his Pokemon use Mud Shot, but Celine has her protect herself with Spiky Shield. Guzma is not backing down and orders his Pokemon to attack until the Protect breaks. Masquerain continues launching more balls of mud, so Celine has to change course. She has her Pokemon use Gyro Ball. Sylvia begins revving up and launches herself at Masquerain like a pinball. Guzma tells her to dodge, and she is quick enough to do so. However, she can't avoid a surprise discharge attack, which electrifies the entire area, including Masquerain. Now Guzma is incredibly annoyed and commands Bug Buzz. Sylvia is only knocked back a bit since she resists the move. She fights back using discharge once more. The two moves clash with extreme intensity. Guzma tells Masquerain to quickly switch to Mudshot. This catches Sylvia and Celine off guard, and the small hedgehog is knocked back by the super effective attack. Guzma then orders Masquerain to finish Sylvia with another Mudshot. The blast of mud is fired, but Celine tells Sylvia to spin and use discharge. Though this isn't the best counter, the electrified vortex is able to destroy the attack, sending electricity sparkling mud flying everywhere. Now Masquerain needs to avoid being hit by her own attack. She flies upward rapidly for safety, but this disruption is exactly what Celine needed. She commands Sylvia to rush straight into a Zing Zap. The small Pokemon, while still using discharge, uses the energy to power herself up, and she launches herself at Masquerain. The bug is slammed by the massive ball of electricity, knocking her out of this battle, leaving Guzma with only 3 Pokemon remaining for this match. Celine praises Sylvia, congratulating the Pokemon for this victory. Meanwhile, the Team Skull leader is furious. How is he losing this battle after he so effortlessly destroyed this kid last time? Faba is also annoyed. He knew Lisaline shouldn't have wasted time and energy on this guy. But at the very least, he's stalling her. He hopes that the Aether President is accomplishing her mission in Ultra Space as they speak. Celine, on the other hand, tries to reason with Guzma. She tells him to open his eyes. Lusamine is clearly only using him for her agenda. Does he really think she cares about helping Team Skull? She just wants to use his muscles for her mission, even though he's been losing this battle so far. Now Guzma starts to rage. Don't think you've even seen anything close to my full power. If you think taking down those weaklings means you've won, you're mistaken. Now, Scizor. Meanwhile, back in Ultra Space, Lily and Gladion's Pokemon are facing Lusamine's Pokemon and her army of Ultra Beasts. Lilligant, Mismagius, Lopunny, Milotic, and Absol are battling with more vigor than the siblings have ever seen from them before. In fact, the Pokemon have an odd golden aura around them. Lily thinks it looks similar to the aura of Totem Pokemon, but how? Lilligant fires off massive Petal Dance attacks, which Snowy counters with Blizzard. The Pokemon duke it out, with Lily stunned how this Pokemon is facing off against an Ice type so easily. Gladion's Lycanroc spars with Mismagius. The Pokemon lunges forward with Crunch, but the ghost vanishes with Phantom Force and deals a strong retaliatory hit. Lycanroc tries to gain the speed advantage with Accelerock, but Mismagius intercepts with Magical Leaf. Absol is overwhelming Cleffy with a litany of rapid Night Slash attacks. Cleffy fights back with Moonblast, though Absol can slice through the move easily with Psycho Cut. Absol hacks away at Cleffy with Slash next, and she starts to pummel it with Play Rough, and the battle becomes more intense by the minute. Gladion Zoroark is taking on Milotic, though Milotic can counter the Dark type with Disarming Voice. The Sea Serpent uses Coil to power up, but Zoroark attacks with Punishment, dealing big damage back. Lopunny is battling Sandy. One would expect this match to be in the Alolan Sandslash's favor, but Lopunny strikes hard with Fire Punch, along with High Jump Kick, to deal major super effective damage. Sandy does not back down though, and strikes with Metal Burst, dealing much of the damage right back to Lopunny, sending her flying. The Pokemon continue to go at it, with no signs of stopping anytime soon. Moon, Nebby, and Lunala are duking it out in an aerial battle against numerous Nihilego. The Pokemon are rampaging, seeing Lusamine in distress, and are battling back with all of their might. Moon lets loose a massive Dragon Pulse, though this barely puts a dent in the army of opposing Ultra Beasts. Lunala strikes with Moongeist Beam, while Nebby uses Sunsteel Strike, and they're able to deal a bit more damage to the swarm of Nihilego. But it's not enough to stop them, as there are so many to deal with, and they continue to relentlessly fight back. And then, of course, there's Pheromosa. This powerful creature is effortlessly facing Null and Silvally. The battle between Beast and Beast Killers is incredibly destructive. Though the man-made Pokemon use several strong attacks, including Air Slash and Double Edge, Pheromosa effortlessly counters using elegant triple kick attacks to keep them at bay. They try the tactic of a combined Giga Impact and Crush Claw, but the beast fires off a massive Bug Buzz, stunning the creatures and pushing them back. The type Nulls slam into the ground in pain. Lily and Gladion call out to them, telling them to pull through. The fate of their mother is in all of their hands. Hearing this has the Pokemon get back up. They look around and see all of their friends fighting, and they know they can't give up. If they go down, they'll lose their greatest weapons against the Ultra Beasts. Lusamine has had enough, and tells her beautiful beast to put an end to those wretched children. Pheromosa leaps up to strike with Double Kick, though this time the attack is aimed directly at Lily and Gladion. The kids stand in horror as the beast lunges at them, but both type Null dash forward, meeting the attack head-on. The power of the beast's kicks, combined with the beast killer's desire to win for their trainers, causes Null and Silvali's masks to shatter. In an instant, the Pokemon revert to their original forms, with their impressive crests shining brightly. Both Pokemon roar loudly before rushing to land a counterattack onto Pheromosa, knocking it away from their trainers. Lily and Gladion are in awe, having almost forgotten what their Pokemon used to originally look like. "Can it be?" Lily asks. "It is. Type Full. Their original form," Gladion exclaims, showing an uncharacteristic joy at seeing Null free from the constraints that caused it so much distress for so long. Lily is also happy to see her dear Silvally back in its original state, and both rush up to hug the Pokemon. Lusamine, however, is not pleased. Having worked on the creation of these creatures, she knows what they are capable of, and this could be harmful to her precious beasties. She orders all of her Pokemon to put those brats in their place. Gladion quickly looks to Lily, asking if she still has them. The memories. Lily nods, pulling an assortment of discs from her bag. As Gladion grabs some of his own, the two look at each other and nod, each tossing a disc at their respective Pokemon. Silvally and Null activate a disc drive on their heads, their Arceus ability. Silvally turns into a fire type, while Null takes on the steel type. The Pokemon then charge forward as Lily and Gladion each call out a move. Use multi-attack. Guzma, Scizor, and Celine Sylvia are in the midst of battle, having been facing off for a while. While Sylvia has been able to land a hard Zing Zap and block numerous attacks with Spiky Shield for retaliatory damage, Scizor is ultimately able to gain the upper hand, using Vacuum Wave to take the Togedemaru out of the battle. Celine sends Spike out next, but Guzma is not risking this matchup. As Spike uses a flamethrower, Scizor dodges and uses U-turn, bringing Golisopod into the battle. The Turtonator glares at this Pokemon, remembering his loss to it previously. He's ready for revenge today. Celine calls for Focus Blast, but Golisopod hits First Impression, knocking Spike back and causing him to miss his attack. This causes Golisopod to lash out with several hits of Liquidation, and Guzma sees this as a great opportunity to use Poison Jab. As the massive bug rushes forward, Celine tells Spike to stay put. Then, at the last second, he quickly uses Shell Trap. Guzma is too caught off guard to have his Pokemon change course, so upon striking the turtle, he is blasted back with a major hit. That said, this does unfortunately render Spike poisoned. Guzma is irritated by this, but doesn't give up. He tells Golisopod to get back in there and use Throat Chop. Spike counters with Dragon Tail. However, Golisopod still has the speed advantage, so he can easily avoid the hit and land his attack just as hard. However, up close, he now takes a point-blank Focus Blast to the face, dealing major damage and sending him flying. Guzma is furious, demanding the Pokemon get up now. Celine meanwhile takes his opportunity to command Flamethrower. Golisopod gets to his feet and sees the blast of fire coming at him. Not wanting to take another hit, he activates Emergency Exit, bringing Scizor back in, much to everyone's shock. Alas, nothing can be done, as Scizor takes the Flamethrower with no warning. The Pokemon collapses almost as soon as he re-enters the battle, leaving Guzma, Celine, and Faba stunned. Faba asks what on earth is wrong with that Pokemon of his. Now he sees why this guy was never able to complete the Island Challenge. His Pokemon are clearly poorly trained. This comment has Guzma seeing red. In a rage, he brings Golisopod back into the match. He has the Pokemon stare at the fainted Scizor before recalling the Pokemon. You see that? That's your fault, Guzma seethes. Golisopod looks surprisingly fearful, something Celine never would have imagined. Guzma orders him to defeat Spike, lest he feel his wrath. The Pokemon obliges, rushing at the Turtonator and knocking him back with another first impression. Though the move isn't that effective, Spike has taken quite a lot of damage already and is getting tired. He's also being constantly worn down by poison. Golisopod goes in for Poison Jab again, and Spike counters with Shell Trap. But Guzma has Golisopod halt his attack, and instead snake around him to attack him from the front. Celine is annoyed by this, but commands a Focus Blast instead. Spike launches the attack, but Golisopod blocks the move with his large arms and sends the attack flying back at Spike. This, combined with poison, has him falling in defeat. Guzma gloats over his victory and reiterates that, as he said several times before, he's done playing games. Celine then sends Meadow back out and has the Oricorio use Hurricane. The move does hit for good damage, but Golisopod is bulky enough to maintain his footing. Celine tells Meadow to use Revelation Dance instead, and the Pokemon begins dancing to charge up her attack. But Golisopod slashes Liquidation on the ground, sending a blade of water at Meadow to interrupt her. Celine decides to change up her tactics and calls for Acrobatics. Meadow rushes forward, and though she lands a strong hit, Golisopod strikes with a surprise critical hit Throat Chop. Because she'd already taken damage earlier in the battle, this is enough to defeat her. Now, Guzma is thrilled, having fainted 2 Pokemon back-to-back. Even Faba starts praising Guzma. Celine doesn't let this distract her though, and she brings out Peach. Guzma isn't threatened by the grass type and says this will be over quickly, calling for Poison Jab. Golisopod charges forward. However, Peach dodges the attack, jumping up with her powerful legs, then landing Stomp. The trainers command the same attacks once more, and it's soon a battle of physical combat. Golisopod attacks with his powerful claws, while Peach strikes back with her strong kicks. Eventually, Peach's attack lands a much stronger hit, knocking Golisopod back. Faba recognizes the move as Chop Kick. He then panics because this move actually causes his opponent's attack power to weaken. He tells Guzma to finish this battle quickly. Guzma doesn't need to be told twice and has Golisopod use Throat Chop. Celine tells Peach to charge up Solar Beam though. Golisopod goes in for the attack, but at the last second, Peach blocks the move with her leaf hair. She's able to push him back, allowing her to land the Solar Beam at point-blank range, sending Golisopod flying. Guzma calls out to his Pokemon and demands it to get up. The Pokemon struggles to his feet, but before it can even get up, Peach lands another strong Chop Kick to finish it off. Celine is thrilled. She's finally beaten Guzma's strongest Pokemon. But something is off. If her counting is correct, Guzma should still have 1 Pokemon left. Why wouldn't he save Golisopod for last? The Team Skull leader quietly recalls his Pokemon, furious over his loss. But indeed, he does have 1 secret weapon left. With a dark grin, he pulls out an unmistakable blue Pokeball. This drains the color from Celine's face. A Beast Ball? Then that means he does have one? No more words are spoken as Guzma throws the Pokeball. What enters the battlefield is a creature Celine has never laid eyes on. A massive creature which can only be described as an enormous stone cube. Soon, however, an eye appears. Then another. And another. The creature is covered in eyes. Then the beast rises. And even stranger, it seems to have eyes on its legs. What is that? Celine questions with fear. Say hello to Yubi Assembly, Faba says with an evil grin. Or as we now call it, Stakataka. Back on Melee, Ash and Hala are still facing off against Buzzwole, but it is dealing a massive beating to their Pokemon. Pikachu is Ash's only Pokemon who hasn't fainted, but he's struggling immensely. Ash, however, continues to encourage Pikachu to battle his hardest, and Pikachu continues to fight with all the power he has. Tapu Koko sees this and becomes inspired, so much so that he launches a blast of electric energy toward Ash and Pikachu. Ash freaks out, but the electric attack actually hits his Z power ring, where his Electrium Z becomes jolted with a massive amount of power. The move was so strong that it launched Ash backward, with his head toppling off and landing on Pikachu's head. Ash and Hala are both confused, and Pikachu rushes to check on his trainer. As Ash rubs his head and sits up, he looks at his Z-ring, only to be shocked that his Electrium Z has transformed. It now has a Pikachu tail shape atop the crystal. Ash is totally lost, but it seems Tapu Koko used his Guardian power to alter his Electrium Z, meaning it has to be more powerful now. Ash is excited to have been granted this special Z crystal from the Island Guardian, only to realize that he has no clue how to use this one. But Tapu Koko locks eyes with both him and Pikachu, and in that moment, both feel as though they've achieved a perfect understanding, almost as if they've used this move before. As such, Ash and Pikachu smile, and after a series of special poses, they unleash this powerful new Z move. Pikachu launches a massive multicolored thunderbolt at Buzzwole. Hala then takes out a special Z crystal of his own and looks over to Tapu Koko. The two share a look, and the Island Kahuna surprises Ash by using a special Z move with Tapu Koko. Hala calls it Guardian of Alola. Even the Ultra Beast can't stand up to the power of both of these powerful attacks, and Buzzwole goes down. The two congratulate each other on their teamwork, but they know things aren't over yet. Ultra Beasts are still wreaking havoc all over Alola. Ash desperately hopes his friends are okay. Hao is still actively battling Guzzlord with Nanu and Tapu Bulu's assistance. The Decidueye is battling on Hao's behalf, though he's struggling against the power of the beast. Tapu Bulu takes notice of this and strengthens the power of his grassy terrain to heal off more damage for everyone. At this point, Hao thinks it's time to try out the Z crystal Nanu had given him. He looks at Decidueye, and the two nod to each other, ready to use their newest attack. Nanu also uses the Guardian of Alola attack with Tapu Bulu for a strong combo attack. And the same is true of Olivia and Hapu in their respective battles, with both commanding the special Z move from Tapu Lele and Tapu Fini, dealing huge damage to the rogue beasts. Back in Ultra Space, the battle between parent and children continues. Thankfully, Lily and Gladion's Pokemon are slowly starting to wear Lucamines down. Moon notices this while in the air and rains down a sludge wave attack, dousing the Pokemon in poison. With this opening, a combined attack from Cleffy, Snowy, and Sandy, along with Gladion's Lycanroc and Zoroark, finish off Lucamine's Lilligant, Mismagius, Lopunny, Milotic, and Absol. Lusamine becomes enraged seeing this, causing her Nihilego allies to begin attacking more violently. But Nebby thankfully resists most of their moves, so he blocks their attacks with Light Screen. This allows Lunala to hit all of them with a hard Psyshock, dealing super effective damage. Seeing her precious Nihilego being harmed sends Lusamine into a devastating fury. How dare these traitorous brats do this to her dear beasts? She orders Pheromosa to show those weak Pokemon what real power is. The beast obliges, using a massive Bug Buzz. The force of the move is enough to send most of Lily and Gladion's Pokemon flying. Thankfully, Nebby's Light Screen is still in effect, weakening the power of the move by just enough that the Pokemon can pull through. Null and Silvally are able to easily hold on and strike back with their powered-up moves. Silvally's Fire-type multi-attack does a big hit, while Null's follow-up Air Slash tears through Pheromosa. The beast is in a daze and finally starts to show signs of weakness. Lily and Gladion's remaining Pokemon launch continuous attacks, but Pheromosa fights them all off. That said, the siblings can tell that they're making progress. They need to make these next attacks count if they want to save their mom. Suddenly, Pheromosa leaps up with a high jump kick. Thinking quickly, Gladion calls for Lunala to use Teleport and swap places with Pheromosa's targets. The bat manages to do so just in time, and being a ghost type, she is completely unaffected by the move. As such, Pheromosa phases through her and crashes onto the ground, taking huge damage. Now, this is our chance. Everyone, attack together. All of Lily and Gladion's Pokemon send their strongest attacks at Pheromosa, with Silvally and Null also laying a combined Giga Impact and Steel-type multi-attack respectively. The beast falls to its knees, and Lusamine demands that it get back up. But the damage taken is too much, and Pheromosa goes down. Lusamine is speechless. How could her strongest precious beast be defeated? This is the power of the beast killers. Now, Mother, it's time to end this. Let's go home, Lily says. But Lusamine simply snickers at them and refuses. If they think this is over, they've seen nothing yet. Celine is mortified to see Guzma with an Ultra Beast, especially one that appears to be a hulking giant. But now is no time to back down. She's battled monstrous Ultra Beasts before, and she surely won't lose to one under Guzma's control. She orders Peach to use Chop Kick, and the Pokemon does so. Again, and again, and again. Her Pokemon launches kick after kick, and yet the attacks seemingly do no damage to the creature. It's almost as if the beast has an impenetrable defense. Celine has her Serena try her strongest attack, Solar Beam. However, Guzma doesn't even bother having the creature defend. The Solar Beam only just pushes the huge walking wall backward by a smidge. Otherwise, it remains unharmed. Now that you've seen Stakataka's defensive power, I'll give you a taste of its attack firsthand. Now, crush them. The beast rears up onto its hind legs before slamming them onto the ground with a Stone Edge. Celine tells her Pokemon to dodge. She does manage to avoid the move, but just barely. But the beast continues the attack, and the enormous rocks from Stone Edge slowly start to surround Peach until she has nowhere else to run. Once she's backed into a corner, the monstrosity slams into Peach with an Iron Head, absolutely decimating her. Celine can't even bear to look as she recalls her Pokemon, lashing out at Guzma for his cruelty. Guzma scoffs and says the rocks from the Stone Edge probably softened the damage to her pathetic Pokemon anyway, so what's she in a fit about? Celine can barely contain her rage, but she needs to think clearly. She has to take this beast down. But how? How can she face a creature like this? But she reminds herself, this isn't even close to the first Ultra Beast she's faced. She's battled against so many since starting her journey, and though the battles were tough, she and her friends always found a way to win in the end. So she won't give up. She sends out her final Pokemon, Ariel. The Brionne initially quivers in fear when her eyes meet the many eyes of the beast. But she soon notices Guzma and instantly becomes enraged. If this is an opponent battling for him, then she won't back down. Celine starts by calling for Water Pledge. The move actually seems to deal a decent hit to the beast, but it fights back with Rock Blast. Ariel creates a bubble balloon to try to shield herself from the damage. While some of the rocks do rebound, eventually the bubble becomes weak and shatters, allowing one strike of Rock Blast to land a strong hit. Ariel is knocked back but regains her composure. She fires an Ice Beam, but Stakataka intercepts easily with Stone Edge. Stakataka then launches numerous Iron Head attacks. Ariel tries her best to dodge, and while she is able to avoid most direct hits due to the Ultra Beast's lack of speed, the sheer size of the creature ensures that she is pelted with the debris of its attacks. Ariel starts to show her exhaustion, so Guzma calls for another Stone Edge. Celine orders Water Pledge, and though it pushes the rock move back slightly, eventually the Ultra Beast manages to overpower Celine's partner, sending her hurtling back. Guzma initially sees this as a victory, until the small sea lion pulls herself back up, growling angrily at the beast. What gives? How is this pathetic Pokemon still standing? The man yells. While Guzma starts to rant about Lusamine giving him a defective Ultra Beast, Faba realizes what's going on here. Of course, that's Serena. it used a bunch of drop kick attacks on Stakataka before it went down. While it didn't do too much damage, it greatly lowered its attack power. No wonder this little thing hasn't gone down yet. Guzma furiously yells that he's so done with this brat, and orders Stakataka to use a massive rock blast. In an instant, the Pokemon fires several blasts of the attack at the tired Brionne. Ariel tries to counter with Disarming Voice, but the move doesn't have the power to repel Rock Blast. Ariel is nearly out, and Guzma sees this as his chance to finish off both the Brionne and the girl. He's had it with this child, so why not use this opportunity to make sure she never bothers him again? He commands Stakataka to end them with Giga Impact. The enormous creature uses all of its might to lunge forward to crush not only Ariel, but also Celine. This changes everything. The sight of her trainer in danger unleashes a newfound power within Ariel. She leaps into the air with a harmonious cry, then begins to glow and change form. Before Guzma or Faba can even register what's happening, a Primarina lands before them. The newly evolved mermaid forms a massive ball of water in front of her. Then a barrage of bubbles is fired at Stakataka, having not only enough force to stop its attack, but also knock it backward. Guzma is stunned, but is not about to back down. He commands Stakataka to use Iron Head, now. "Are you stupid?" Faba yells. "Your beast can't attack right away after using Giga Impact." Guzma seethes hearing this, yelling commands at the beast regardless. But it's pointless. This opening allows Ariel to attack with several powerful Moonblast attacks. The move isn't very effective though, so Stakataka can get right back into the battle. And this time, Guzma orders Stone Edge. But Ariel freezes the ground with a stronger Ice Beam before Stakataka can use the move. As such, when slamming its legs onto the ground, it slips on the ice, preventing it from executing its attack properly. From here, another Moonblast aimed at Stakataka's legs puts the beast even further off balance. Guzma yells that he's had enough of this nonsense. He commands Stakataka to use the strongest Rock Blast and end this battle. While Stakataka starts forming a massive glowing orb, Celine's Z-Ring begins to glow. That's when she remembers the Z-Crystal Gladion had given her before he ventured into the Ultra Wormhole. She only just noticed the Primarina-shaped marking on the blue crystal, which now seems to be resonating with Ariel. The two meet eyes and share a look. Celine and Ariel then pose together as the latter begins to sing. Her song creates a massive bubble, larger than even Stakataka itself. This move. It's Oceanic Operetta, Faba screams in terror. He tells Guzma to stop that attack, now. Guzma tells the man to shut it. He's in charge here. He then commands Stakataka to stop that attack, now. Use the strongest Rock Blast and destroy those weaklings. Celine meanwhile tells Ariel to attack with her full power. Ariel sings with more passion than Celine has seen before, expanding the size of the water bubble so that it eclipses Stakataka. Both attacks are promptly executed at the same time. The Rock Blast is fired at the massive bubble, and it bursts into an onslaught of aquatic projectiles, the force of which is enough to not only easily decimate the rock attack, but also strike Stakataka with full force. The massive Ultra Beast is flung back, much to the shock of everyone. It lands completely unconscious in the center of the altar, as Ariel gives an elegant bow, finally ending this battle. Celine is overjoyed. She's done it. She defeated the leader of Team Skull. She rushes over to hug Ariel, saying she never could have done this without her. Guzma falls to his knees, while Faba begins begging the beast to get back up. He demands that Guzma send out another Pokemon. Surely he has more right. Who cares about the normal restrictions of full battles? But it's over. Even Guzma has nothing to say as he screams madly to the skies. How could he lose to this kid of all people when he had an Ultra Beast with him? It doesn't make any sense. Celine tells Ariel to trap the two men in water bubble balloons, preventing them from moving. She then demands answers. Alright, explain. What is Lucamine doing in Ultra Space? Don't look at me. I was never told anything regarding going into the wormhole, Faba yells. As far as I knew, the president just wanted to bring the beasts back here. This is when both glare at Guzma, the only one who wasn't surprised by Lucimine's actions earlier. The man huffs. Madame Prez said her mission from the start was to ditch this place and live with those beasts in ultra space. Beats me why she didn't tell you, though. Faba mutters to himself, hearing this. President Lucimine probably figured Wick and I would try to talk her out of this if we knew. That simpleton Guzma probably has no clue of the dangers involved here. Telling him was like telling a rock. What was that? While the two bicker, Celine looks to the sky as dusk sets upon the area. She stares upward in concern. Lily, Gladion, please stay safe in there. On the other side of the universe, in ultraspace, Lucimine has completely lost all sense of reason, and having finally settled into her union with the Nihilego, she can now make use of its powers, and she'd like nothing more than to be the one to end those traitorous brats herself. So she fires a sludge bomb attack directly at her children and orders her Nihilego allies to aim their own attacks at the Pokemon. Lily and Gladion are so stunned by this that they fail to react. Thankfully, Null leaps forward to protect the kids from Lucimine's attack, thanks to being a steel type. Unfortunately, this won't be the case for the others. Having been weakened so much by Lucimine's Pokemon, Lily and Gladion's other Pokemon are blasted by the Nihilego's attacks. The trainers can see that their other Pokemon don't have the strength to continue, so they recall them, leaving only Silvally, Null, Moon, Nebby, and Lunala in the battle. Lucimine smiles in delight, seeing things going in her favor. All they have to do is take down these other Pokemon, and she'll finally be free to live in peace with her beasts. Lily begs her mom to stop. She doesn't want to hurt her. Good, that'll make this easier. She switches things up, using a Thunderbolt directly at Gladion. Null and Lunala jump in to protect him, fighting off the attack with Air Slash and Shadow Ball. He then commands them to retaliate with a Crush Claw from Null and Psyshock from Lunala. The Pokemon launch their attacks, but the Nihilego fly in front to protect Lucimine, with many falling in the process. How dare you harm my beasts, she yells. Lily, it's no use. We must attack in order to save her. Lily says there must be another way, but Gladion reminds her that the Nihilego's toxins are in control here. The longer this festers, the less of a chance they have to save her. They aren't directly harming Lucimine, but the beast that is controlling her. And this is the only way they can rescue her. They need to do this. Lily looks downward, nearly in tears, but she strengthens up and nods. Her mission when leaving Aether Paradise all that time ago was to save her family, and that's what she's going to do. She commands Moon to use Poison Jab. The Naganado rushes forward and slams into Lucimine at full force. Lily winces for a moment before seeing the devilish look on Lucimine's face. The woman immediately retaliates with Head Smash. Lily panics for a moment, but Nebby intercepts with his own Zen Headbutt. The move deals major damage to Lucimine, sending her flying back. The Nihilego fire off Power Gem attacks, and though Nebby is pushed back a bit, his type resistance allows him to shrug off a lot of the damage. Gladion knows they need to get rid of these distractions. He orders Lunala to fly past the Nihilego toward Lucimine. The Pokemon obeys the boy's command and begins flying toward Lucimine. She sees this as no threat and uses Thunderbolt, but as the move heads toward the bat, Gladion commands Teleport. In an instant, Lunala disappears, and the attack was aimed at her now strikes the Nihilego who are trailing behind her. The Nihilego pawns are viciously zapped and all fall in defeat. Seeing this has Lucimine's heart nearly stop, as she can't believe she just fainted her own precious beasts. As she streaks in distress, Null and Silvally strike with multi-attack. Lucimine begins to rage. How dare he make her attack her beast family? The two of them will pay for this. Head Smash is used again, and this time Lucimine slams into the beast killers, sending them into the air. A follow-up Thunderbolt is aimed at Moon, but he counters just in time with Dragon Pulse. Still, Lucimine is so enraged that her attack manages to push Moon's Dragon Pulse right back at him, dealing a big hit. Gladion is concerned now, as Null and Silvally get back on the attack. He's wondering if he mistakenly just made things harder for them. But this time, it's Lily who speaks up. No, Mother is starting to lose control. Even though she's only connected to one beast, she was absorbing power from all of them. Now that the majority have fainted, she's running out of energy. We need to make these next attacks count. Gladion agrees, and it's then he notices that the black toxins coating Lucamine's body are starting to fade away. He figures a final big attack should be able to stop her. He and Lily look to their Pokemon, asking for their full power. Nebby and Lunala then look at each other and let out mighty roars. Lily and Gladion become invigorated by this, and even more so when they notice that their Z-rings begin to glow. Suddenly, two crystals they've never seen before appear on their Z-rings, which now sport slightly different shapes. Are these? Gladion begins. Yes, they're Z-Power Rings. But why? Lily asks. Soon they notice the Z-crystals, and everything becomes clear. The siblings remember everything they learned about Solgaleo and Lunala in their research. The two powerful Z-moves that only they can use. The two share a determined nod, ready to save their mother once and for all. Lily poses with Nebby and commands Searing Sunray Smash, while Gladion poses with Lunala, ordering Menacing Moonray's Maelstrom. Both Pokemon unleash the mighty power of their strongest attacks. Nebby strikes first, as he dives toward Lucamine, slamming into her Nihilego shield with all of the energy of the sun. While the woman is dazed from the force of the attack, Lunala follows up. She fires several massive powerful beams of moon energy at Lucamine, as she is powerless to defend. A massive explosion rings out, sending a shockwave across Ultra Space. Smoke shrouds the entire area, and Gladion and Lily rush to their mother in concern. Did it work? Is she safe? Or is the effect of the toxic Ultra Beast stronger than they thought? As the two get closer, they are shocked by what they see. Lucamine is laid peacefully on the ground, next to an unconscious Nihilego. The creature is partially cradling the woman, who looks completely unharmed, while the beast itself is covered in injuries. Lily and Gladion ask their mother if she's okay. Lucamine, however, only stirs slightly, but at least this means she's alive. The siblings' momentary relief is ended, however, when the planes of Ultra Space begin experiencing numerous distortions. The Nihilego's joint power was keeping this place afloat, but now their defeat has led to a disruption in the balance. Quickly, Lily and Gladion recall Silvally, Null, and Moon. Lunala uses her psychic powers to place Lucamine and Lily onto Nebby's back, and Gladion climbs atop hers. The Pokemon then don't waste a second, creating an ultra wormhole and dashing through it as the world crumbles around them. Back at Pony Altar, Ash, Hau, and the Ultra Recon Squad have finally returned to reunite with Celine. All of the Ultra Beasts they faced were able to be neutralized, mainly thanks to help from the Island Guardians. Fico and the others confiscate Guzma and Faba's Pokeballs, ensuring that they don't try anything funny. Guzma complains, asking what he's going to do with a bunch of fainted Pokemon anyway. But Soliera says she's not taking any risks with them. Ash is thrilled to hear that Celine managed to defeat Guzma, and he and Hau are impressed, seeing Ariel's evolution. And while she's happy as well, there is something still on her mind. On all of their minds. What about Lily and Gladion? They're still in Ultra Space and have been gone for hours. At this point, they fear that their friends might need help. They need to find a way to get to them. But before they can even think of a plan, Rotom Dex directs their attention to the night sky. Suddenly, a massive Ultra Wormhole opens up. And not just this one. All across Alola, Ultra Wormholes begin to open up, to bring the rogue defeated Ultra Beasts back home. This includes Takataka, formerly commanded by Guzma, causing both he and Faba to whine in annoyance. As for the Ultra Wormhole above Pony Altar, the group is relieved to see Nebby and Lunala flying out of the portal. The two land safely in front of everyone. Ash, Celine, and Hau are relieved to see the siblings back safe. But they immediately notice Lucamine. Is she okay? What happened in there? Lily only has time to explain that they need to get their mom medical attention right away. While they believe much of the Nihilego toxins were expelled from her body, she probably still needs some treatment. The kids waste no time, as Lunala teleports everyone to Ula Ula Island. Nanu and the local police are ready and waiting to nab Guzma and Faba. Thankfully, other police forces, with help from the island kahunas, made their way to Aether Paradise to snatch up the remaining Team Skull and Aether Foundation grunts. Nanu tells the man that their lackeys are waiting for them, but probably won't be too happy to hear that they've failed. This has the duo annoyed, and yet they remain silent, with nothing more to say, really. In fact, Faba is more concerned with Lucamine's condition. On that note, Lucamine is immediately admitted into hospital. Lily and Gladion explain everything that went down in Ultra Space, leaving their friends shocked, yet impressed that the duo were able to pull through. The doctor then provides an update on Lucamine. She is stable and should recover after a lot of rest. Lily and the others are relieved hearing this. After everything, they managed to save their mom, and she should be back to normal soon. She and Gladion decide that they'll stick around to keep an eye on their mom in the coming weeks, while things calm down across the region. Later that night, the group stands at the dock and looks out over the waters. Nebby and Lunala sit near them, taking a well-deserved rest. Celine is thrilled that they finally put an end to Team Skull and the Aether Foundation's debauchery once and for all. This is when Gladion praises Celine, saying he's pleased to see how much she's improved as a trainer since they met all the way back then. Admittedly, he was always concerned that someone he previously considered to be so reckless and stubborn would never be able to surpass his former boss. But she's grown into a competent trainer, able to learn from her mistakes, who now understands her Pokemon perfectly. Being able to take down Guzma is something he never even accomplished, so she should be proud. Celine surprises the others, giving Gladion a genuine thanks. She also thanks him for always being so willing to help all of them, despite them previously being on opposing sides, and her not trusting him initially. Because of their combined teamwork and how they never gave up on their goals, the citizens of Alola can live in peace without the threat of Ultra Beasts, and the island challenge can continue with no disruptions. With that, Lily reminds Ash and Hau. Even though this element of their journey might be over, they still have one final step to conclude their goals. The Alola League Conference. It should go off without a hitch now. Hearing this, Ash and Hau give each other a competitive grin. Lily is right. After all this time, their moment is soon approaching. Soon, it'll be time to take part in Alola's first Pokemon League, for the chance of becoming the region's very first champion.